So if you've been trying to sign clients for your agency, there's a very good chance you're doing it the old way. And these ways aren't working at all anymore. And if any of these sound familiar, then you need to watch this video. So it starts with, cold email, using Lemless, using Instantly, using Smart Lead, sending hundreds and hundreds of messages every single day. And if you're doing this, you most likely have 95% of the responses telling you to F off or never talk to them again. Or you may be using, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, sending outreach messages on there, but just getting the exact same thing as well. People asking you, how are you different from everyone else? I want to wait before I get onto a call, send me more information. And then even if they do reply to your messages, they're asking for the price up front. So you don't know how to handle it. So it's like you kind of want to get them onto a call. You kind of want to just tell them there, but you don't want to waste your time on the call. And it's just a mess. So if you're lucky, if you're doing it better than 99% of people and you get a few responses, even then, if you get these people onto calls, they're still super skeptical, right? They'll come onto the calls. You may have your little sales script that you got from your course that you did. You ask them the questions, but they don't answer it very well. They're probably, looking at their laptop while they're doing it. And you're just trying to get them through this whole script, but they don't seem interested. They're giving you short answers and they don't actually care. And worst case scenario, you're going through the script and then halfway they're like, look, just tell me how much does it cost? How are you different from everyone else? And you deal with these issues over and over and over. And what I want to emphasize is that you don't have to be dealing with this. It's the old way of doing things. And then when it comes to the actual pitching part of things, when you're trying to get them as a client, you have to go through all these follow-up calls. They don't want to make a decision on the spot. They have to get multiple decision makers. So you have these like 3 to 5 follow-up calls. And then at the end of it, they don't even sign up. And that's the worst part of it. So you just spend all this time, preparing proposals, preparing for the calls, having the slots in your calendar that you don't really want to go to, and all these things happening just to, waste the time and then go with another option that they were going to go with in the first place. So this is the old way of doing things. Now, what most of our clients want, who are all agency owners, they want the new way of doing things, where you have predictable systems that run every single day on autopilot, generating you 1 to 3 to 5 calls every single day with qualified prospects that actually need what you're offering. So they'll just wake up, check their phone and see, okay, I have 10 new interested prospects. Let me just use this message, get them onto a call. And then that's just working in the background. The team is just managing that for them. But if they do want to send outreach and they send it, but because they use these new methods, the people that they reach out to, they're warmer, they're more interested, they trust you more. So they're very easy to get onto a call. You can just send them one message and they're ready to jump on. And by doing it this way, it just saves you all this time, all this energy, not having to, explain yourself and pitch your services in the DM. And when you do get them onto a call using these new ways, you can just close it in one call. People are receptive. People actually enjoy the sales call. They don't think it's some like spammy sales script that you watch from some Sam Ovens or some Iman Gadji course in 2020. They're actually engaged. They enjoy the process. And then at the end of it, they're ready to sign up. Right? They'll give you the card details, they'll get started, and you have a new client very easily. And the reason that I can say all these things is because I've been through it. I've been through the old way of doing things. It was the worst period of running the agency that I've ever seen. And I've transitioned to the new way, and it's honestly game changing. So what I want to do in this video is walk you through how you can make that transition. If your goal right now is booking more meetings, if your goal is signing more clients, if your goal is scaling your agency, whether it's to your first 10K, first 50K, first 100K even, you can use these strategies in 2024 and in the coming years to sign more clients and book meetings very, very easily. Now, the first essential part to signing clients in 2024 is implementing a content-based sales system. So for some context, when I was first starting out, I was running a lead generation agency helping marketing agencies to get more clients. And when I was doing this, I was reaching out to only cold prospects, right? I was starting out, I didn't have a personal brand, didn't have a YouTube, didn't have anything. So all I could do was reach out to prospects via email, via LinkedIn, and then offer my services. And during this time in the trenches, this is where I learned all the things I was talking about at the beginning of the video, in the sense that you send the message and people are already asking, okay, how are you different from the 10 other people in my inbox offering the exact same thing? I would constantly get that. And even if I got a reply different to that, they would be asking for the price up front. And honestly, it was just a nightmare trying to get my first few clients because I had nothing going for me. I had no content, no case studies, nothing. And then one of the biggest revelations that I had was all the biggest names in the space that I would watch on YouTube, that I'd see their courses. Every single one of these people, even though they were talking about do outreach, send messages, send these cold email scripts, even though they spoke about that, they all had content. They all had YouTube channels. And this is where I heard of them from. So because of this, I was thinking, they're telling all these people to do, sending outreach, to use these exact same sales scripts that everyone else is using. And because of that, the whole market gets so saturated of people doing the exact same thing, copying the exact, Eman agency navigator sales script, and then getting no results. So at that point, I started posting content. And this was first on YouTube. And all I would do was I would post Loom videos solving the problems of marketing agencies. So I would talk about how to book meetings. I would talk about how to sign clients, very similar to this video. And because of that, I would put it on the profiles that I was using for outreach. So I was using LinkedIn at the time. And what I would do is I would put it in my featured section. And every single time I messaged someone, they would see that. So whenever I messaged someone, they would check out my profile, as they do. They would watch the video, and they would build that trust with me before I even speak to them. So when these people did reply to my message, they were like, okay, this guy's different. He has content. He has value. He solved my problem before speaking. So I did that. I had a much easier time on sales calls because they already knew that I could provide value. And then, when it came time to closing, the trust was already there. So I had such an easy time on sales calls compared to when I first started. And this is what I mean by the content-based sales system, in the sense that we're not doing the selling, the sales, on the sales call. We're doing the selling throughout the entire build-up to the sales call. And what I mean by this is, if you look at it fundamentally, if on the sales call, all you're doing is diagnosing their problem, providing a solution, and sharing what you would do to actually solve it, then you can do that through content, right? You could do that through a YouTube video in mentioning their pain points, mentioning the problems that they're facing, not booking enough meetings, not signing enough clients, not charging high enough, and solving that via a video, sharing how you do it. And then in doing that, you get onto the call with the person and like, this is how you're going to do it. Fair enough. Let's get started, right? And that's how simple it can be. So you can front load your entire sales process via content, honestly, very easily. And this is one of the things that I help with my one-on-one clients to implement, because if you can save 12 hours of explaining and follow-up calls and all of that by just making some YouTube videos, I mean, that's a much better use of your time if you're running an agency, if you're running a business. So the first thing that I get all of my clients on is to start creating this valuable content. I show them how to do it step by step. It's actually very easy to do. And this will be one of the most effective uses of your time because it just sells for you all the time. Now, the next thing that you need to have if you're looking to sign clients in 2024 is an attention generation system. So even though I started creating content, I had these videos on the page, a problem that I was facing was that I would have it, but people still wouldn't watch it because people didn't know it existed. And this is what I mean by attention generation. We have to get attention to the actual content to do the selling for us. So I would have a very long video, a 45-minute video actually, I made this, explaining exactly what we did, how it works, who I am, case studies, all this stuff. Literally, I just wanted to front load everything, right? I was thinking, what are all the questions I get? People asking, how does it work? Pricing, all of that. I was like, I'm just going to make one long ass video, just putting all that there. And then every time I had a sales call, I'd be like, okay, just watch that. And it would be pretty simple. And in theory, it is very effective. But 50% of the people who came onto sales calls, they watched it. These people had the highest likelihood of converting. They were happy. They were friendly. They let me go through the whole sales process. The other 50%, they didn't watch it. And these people were the most annoying people to have on sales calls. They'd be like, in the first 5 minutes, I'd be like, cool, can I go through the whole script? I'll ask you some quick questions, then we'll go from there. They'll be like, okay, how much does it cost? I'll be like, bro, I'm still busy with this process. And then they'll be like, okay, but how does it work? So they would just have a completely different view on me and the entire company because they didn't get warmed up in the first place. The biggest shift that I made was whenever someone booked a sales call, I would automatically, using an automation, drive attention to the asset, to the video that explained what we did, and I would make sure that they saw it. And what I would also do is I would use things like my email newsletter, use things like LinkedIn, the actual content there, and I would send people to it consistently. So this is what I mean by generating attention and sending it to your resources. So by doing this, you're maximizing the value of every lead because you're front loading the actual sales. So the first thing that you would do is you'd create content to do the selling for you. Then you would get attention to this content. And then you'd move on to the third step, which is attention conversion systems, right? So if you're following this process, which I would highly recommend to anyone watching this, if you're following this process, what you're going to get is a whole lot of people in your audience, whether it's on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, anything. You're going to get all these people who are kind of just like sitting there. They know who you are, but they're not actively doing anything. So the way that I found that this was existing was I was starting to do some Instagram outreach. I hired an appointment setter. He started sending messages on there. And I realized so many people knew who I was because I would go through the followers of, let's say, like Charlie Morgan or Eman or Serge, someone like that. And I would reach out to these people. And in doing that, I would send a message. They would be like, oh, Ethan, great to see you, man. I've been watching your videos. I'm like, that's cool. And what I realized is that these people were just sitting there knowing who I was, but they weren't taking action. So what they were lacking wasn't the attention, wasn't the content. They were lacking the conversion mechanism to go from knowing who I am to actually taking action and potentially becoming a client. So the next thing that you're going to need is a way to convert these prospects into clients. So the first place that you'd actually do this is via the DM. So like I was saying now on Instagram, I was sending outreach, or my appointment setter was sending outreach. And I was getting these people who I didn't know knew me, but they knew me. Hope that doesn't sound complicated. But they knew who I was. I just needed to knock on their door, be like, hey, I'm here, bye. So I would reach out to these people. Some of them would know who I am, some of them won't. That's perfectly fine. But in doing that, let's say 30 people out of 100 knew who I was, the other 70 didn't. The percentage of people that end up, let's say, booking a time in the calendar would be so much higher than if they were all cold. So like I was saying, the old way of doing things is reaching out to completely cold prospects. By doing this method, a percentage of the people that you reach out to are going to be warm. So this is just going to drastically increase the amount of bookings that you get, because there's always going to be that small segment that knows who you are. So the first thing that you need in terms of a conversion system is having an outbound process via DM, via social platforms, to reach out to people consistently at scale so that you can get these people onto bookings. And again, I'd always recommend using leverage in the process, having, let's say, an appointment setter, going through your list, doing all that for you. And we show all of our clients how to do that. And if you want more info on working with us, you can just check the description for more info. But getting someone on to do that, working them through, getting them booked in, and then the conversion process in terms of the sales process. So I have a sales rep on as well. So whenever the appointment setter goes through it, he books the meeting, it goes into my sales rep's calendar. So essentially, all I do is I post the content, the appointment setter collects these interested leads, gets them onto a call, the sales rep takes the call, and then from there they become a client, and then they work with me directly. So all I'm doing is posting content and then helping my clients. And that entire conversion flow between the two is taken care of. So this is what you would use, and I'm certain that this is the most effective way to sign clients in 2024, which is using the content-based sales, getting attention to the content, and then converting that attention of warm prospects onto a call and then into your sales process.